I'm going to have to predict... Oh my god, we're going to have such a good time with this league. I can already tell. But this only works for week 1. God damn it. Clem top right, TY bottom left. As we get this up and ready to go. Carlston will have the exact same hexagon as Trap, but -1 in everything. Who knew that all we needed... We didn't even need a team league. We just needed to add hexagons to players. And we've got the best content on Twitch right now. Alright, guys. We have got our 2 players here. It is Trap and it is Clem. And, it's not Trap, it's TY and Clem. I was going to say that doesn't look like Trap. God damn it. I got Trap on the mind because I'm thinking of hexagons. Our observer today is SK Rain G. It's a different observer to who we had in the original game. So apparently we're swapping observers. They have multiple observers. So, Clem? Does Clem have the IEM background still up? Is that what that is? I feel like that's the IEM, like, background that they sent him so that he could, like, well, have a background, you know? It's got, like, the stars on and so on. I don't know, like, I'm just trying to make it out. Alright, well, we do get set up in some TvT now. Clem and TY is actually a very exciting series, obviously. You guys don't need me to tell you that, right? It's a very exciting series, and it's, one which I really think we're going to see a lot of, cool stuff out of. Now, these 2 have actually played a fair amount recently as well. And if you give me a moment, I'm actually going to get that up on the screen to talk about, because it is worth mentioning the last few times that these guys have played. Clem and Katowice 2-0 TY, right? That was on his hot streak. You know, Clem was looking amazing in those groups, lost the last couple matches, but looking so good before then. TY has won the 3 matches before then with the 3-2. Most recently, his victory in the WardiTV 2021 event. That was after they played in the groups and TY won 2-1, and those games were really good. So if those games were anything to go by, this is definitely going to be a hell of a matchup, because every time they play, apart from when Clem 2-0 TY, there's been at least 1 map taken by each player in this series, which is always very exciting. They've played 5 times in total, 3-2 total scoreline for TY. As this game, obviously some differences to start us off. TY in that much faster expansion, hence later second gas. Clem just going to play the double gas into the expansion. We'll be a little behind on eco. We'll have a little bit of a lead on army. And we'll see if he can do anything with that. Typically, you kind of just see this kind of peter out. It's generally, you know, a minute or 2 down the line where these builds can really build into something different and really start to kind of pull apart from each other a little bit. It's going to see as orbitals come up. I mean, very passive with not even a single unit moving out onto the map. Both these players just going to keep everything at home. That, of course, makes sense for TY. But Clem, he's still just playing very safe overall, right? As now even has the Widowmine top of the ramp. But if TY is not going to get adventurous, none of what Clem has done so far is really going to give him much of an advantage. So he's going to go for a medevac here. So I guess a Cyclone or a Siege Tank is going to be the way to kind of get adventurous. And he's going to go for that little drop across the map. So yeah, maybe, well, what could he do? He could Marine Widow Mine drop, right? If you've got the mine up, a Marine Mine drop might be one of the better ways to go about it. I'm not really feeling the Cyclone drop so much. As you do see this Reaper just going to move around the right-hand side. So TY now starting to look for a little bit of scouting information. Yes, he's going to take that 3rd gas, as is Clem, of course. I mean, at this stage, you want a 3rd gas to start affording. Going in towards Raven production, etc. That's what you typically see at this stage of the game. Clem does just load up with Marine Widow Mine. Cyclone in the main base will be left for defense as the Reaper gets in. A little bit of a scout, nothing too major. Nice little grenade, slows down a little bit of gas mining, but nothing really too crazy here. As we are going to be seeing this medevac going to fly out to the far left-hand side. Ready to drop on in towards the main base. Now remember, going into this fight, Clem is level 5 micro, but TY is only level 3. So can TY even micro his way out of this problem? Oh, that's going to be a question that we've got to ask now. Oh, TY! Oh my god, well that's level 5 micro right there. He target fires the siege tank with the mine. But with low game sense, he didn't know that the mine was going to kill the tank. Oh my god, the hexagons make so much sense. Like, the target fire was great, but it didn't actually kill the tank. Oh my god, the hexagons! The hexagons! Medevac's going to fly back home and just going to be seeing this attack not really too successful from Clem. Now, I didn't need to do a lot. Yeah, obviously, I feel like Clem was hoping for a little bit more. Maybe even like a work or two would have tied things up. He will continue to play from just a little bit behind here at the moment. Yeah, of course, right. TY is level 5 defense as well, so defense... It's tough, man. It's tough. His units all have, like, extra HP because he's got bonus defense, right? That's how it works. Honestly, the hexagons are just perfect. I've never seen... I've never seen the production team get something so right. You know, we were memeing about them, but they are on point so far. Alright, guys, let's get a bit more serious, because this game is getting fun with the worker count evening out. I know neither player is kind of getting aggressive or attacking just yet, but the game's in kind of a pretty similar state. The only thing I think Clem's missing is his barracks didn't start already. But that doesn't matter too much for this upcoming attack, which will be our next kind of way of seeing what exactly happens here. You can see Clem's racks are about 30-40 seconds behind. That's just the difference of not having the better eco all game long. But otherwise, everything else is fairly even. So let's see what TY does as he gets into aggressive positions. Let's see how these Ravens do. Let's see what his tanks can get done. Obviously, despite the even army supply, there's definitely a world in which Clem can run into trouble here. I believe Clem only has the one Raven as well, right? Oh no, he's sending SCVs out to go mine from the third location, but there's an army right here, so Clem's going to walk the SCVs down into this position, and that's going to be 6 workers going down. Again, just a level 3 game sense is not enough here for Clem. He didn't have the game sense to know these units were there. Unbelievable. Alright, well, that's just going to be the, tank, sorry. I'm not trying to make it seem bad. I'm just trying to... I mean, you just gotta play along with it, guys. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm having too much fun. Hey, these couple of Vikings come out, and these Ravens are gonna get chased back for a moment. I mean, Clem doesn't have a Viking advantage, so he's not actually gonna win this fight at all. He continued to fight onto the Raven, which doesn't go down, and he loses a Viking in the process. So, Clem gonna struggle for air control a little bit. He is trying to defend this. He's gonna walk forward. Takes a bit of a volley off that first tank. I actually just liked him sitting here defensively. I know you want to try and push your opponent back. Oh no, the tanks get sieged in a bad place, and he's going to get matrixed as well, so he's going to lose multiple siege tanks. Clem is going to lose 3 before anything else really happens. He drops auto turrets down to try and fight against this. But he doesn't have the vision on the line of sight blockers, so the auto turrets couldn't even fire over the rocks there. Gets a few more Vikings up and ready to go. Can he get rid of that Raven? Nope, not before it drops another matrix, and TY is just going to keep on moving through. And Clem... well, can he defend against this? He's going to split the Marines up. He just doesn't have the tank count, it seems. You know, overall, I was going to say, overall, Clem's supply was actually pretty good going into this, but fighting against those tanks is always going to be difficult. He did clean up a lot of everything else, maybe giving him a chance to drop on top of it. TY overstimming some units back at home, too. I got to say, Clem's macro has been on point this game, because I can't believe he was so... well set for the next stage of this with the kind of army that he had. Now he's in some trouble, though, losing these Vikings and Ravens. That is a pretty big cost. I mean, he only took down 1 tank there. That was probably a little bit of a missed call from Clem, as we're going to see Vikings landing from TY, and now TY is going to have enough to push through this, right? Clem is somehow, again, pushing this back. Of course, now he's given up SCVs to be able to survive, right? So there's something to be said about that as well, as we're going to be seeing these tanks going down, and see Clem, I think, is getting to be a little bit the point of accepting defeat. I still can't quite believe, also 1-1 now from TY is done. I can't quite believe how much Clem had after the first fight. I was really surprised. I guess he kind of won the air battle, though. He killed off everything in the sky in the end. Yeah. Of course, a lot of what he had was just kind of low HP Marines. The supplies weren't really telling the true tale of the position that they were both in, you know. As we're going to be seeing the Marines here putting some damage out. This orbital command is going to be repaired up, kept alive for the moment. This tank is going to be able to defend. The problem is, Clem, you can sit here and try and defend all you like, and you kind of have to continue spending money repairing this CC. He needs to make a move to pull TY back, right? He needs like a drop across the map, and I think that's what the Chinese observer's probably thinking as well. He's like, well, what if we drop across the map or something right now? I think it was actually kind of like the one thing you really need, because if you don't drop, what are you actually ever going to gain by continuing to defend here? I mean, I guess, obviously you are defending, but you're basically hoping that TY overcommits into these attacks, and even if he does overcommit in, I just feel like it's very hard to overcommit into this position as TY, because he doesn't need to go too much further than where he's already at. He's going to see the opportunity now as the Marine count of Clem has been dropping. He's going to get the orbital, and that's going to be game number 1 of this 2-map series, going the way of TY. Clem will get map pick for the second map between the two of them, but TY gets off to the strong start. Going up 1-0. Because if it's 1-1, believe it or not, they just draw. They get 1 point each. And no one's the best. This is a very commonly used term in especially esports and in a lot of other games using best of 2 formats and stuff. So it's, you know, people really like to have this fight. I was ready for it, you know. People, like, you know, a lot of people prepare for casts, right? And they, you know, read up on the players, they watch recent VODs and stuff. I actually went back to the Chinese Team League VODs, and I actually looked at how I explained the best of 2 format and the Chinese Team League format in general. That was my preparation for the World Team League today. I really prepared to explain best of 2s. I prepared all my arguments for and against best of 2s, and I really just feel like the stream's going to be better off for it. Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's a draw in the specific 2 games, but obviously it leads into the best of 7, right? So it's not like it was just a meaningless match. It's just like nobody wins out. It's just, you know, you just draw out, and then it still adds to your, you know, your team's total, you know? But then it's not best of, it's just 2 maps, but it is best of, because either someone's the best or no one's the best. So yeah, I mean, I get it, but like, that's when you start talking literally about what best of means. But people just used it. It became a term because it makes it much easier than just saying, you know, instead of having, you have all these things that are set up to say best of 7, best of 5. To say it's all of a sudden, it's 2 maps played. It's a really ugly way of saying it, you know? But people really have a thing about it. People are really very committed to the best of 2 not being allowed to be a thing. Yes, we get an ace match if it's tied up 3-3. It shouldn't be called best of? Oh my god. Yeah? Okay, it shouldn't be called best of. You guys can believe that. I mean, like, let's just change the entire way we say everything. Because you guys can't accept that something's used as a terminology. Like, it's just like you know, ah! Oh my god. I did all my preparation and it wasn't enough. Alright. We're going to dive into this, and obviously this time a bit more of a passive game. It's 2 gas each, so they're both playing a safer expansion, as you pretty much need to on Submarine. It's a very short map. It's a very short map, so you can't really 1-gas expand at all, so no surprise to see them both go in the same kind of direction here. Now, TY is building double Reapers, which means that he's going to have a good Reaper count. What he might end up doing here is that kind of big Reaper Hellion medevac attack. That happens quite a lot when you go for that double Reaper setup like he is doing right now, this fast reactor. So you go continue to build Reapers, you go up to like 5 or so, you get an attack with 5 Reapers, 3 Hellions, a medevac. That's very powerful. As Clem is going to show up though and deny the SCV on the command center, so that's going to slow down the natural just a little bit. He has to be careful here, doesn't want to get surrounded, doesn't want to get caught with less units than his opponent. Doesn't see anything that I would say is too concerning just yet either. He's going to turn around and fight. He gets a Hellion. He needs to be careful, though. I think this is good for Clem, actually. He gets a Hellion. He only loses 1 Reaper. As long as he isn't losing his own Hellions, because his own Hellions are the real power of this army. You should get that Hellion. That Hellion is so low. He gets rid of another Reaper. It's obviously still, like I say, a dangerous game to be playing, but... Okay, you get these 2 Hellions out alive. You get those repaired. Cyclone now on the way up from from Clem. So that defensively coming through. TY still building Reaper Hellion. His medevac's coming through, and he's going to get ready for this attack very shortly. So Clem needs to repair up and get ready to defend. But I feel like the initial engagements have done enough for Clem to give him a slight edge in this, especially with the Cyclone now already out. Let's see exactly what happens. He's going to move his barracks off the reactor. The one thing I think is a problem for Clem is that he still doesn't quite know what's going on. Okay, now he's going to see this army coming through, and he's going to realize, crap, I'm a little bit out of position here. That is a little bit rough. Where his Hellions at? They are up the ramp. Okay, that's really good news for Clem, because now at least his Hellions weren't in a position to get picked off on their own. That would have been worst case scenario, right? You lose out on the Hellions right away. He gets the Cyclone lock onto the medevac. It gets out of range, though. And now you've wasted Cyclone damage onto a medevac that didn't go down. He's looking for that lock on again. He gets it this time. He will get the kill. The siege tank showing up. He saves the Cyclone with the medevac of his own. These Reapers are going to get a few final SCVs. And I would say overall, I mean, you can see the worker count is basically evening out, 31 each. Army supplies are pretty even. And this was a good enough defense from Clem, so this turns out okay for him. He's a little bit ahead when it comes to the units on the map now. He still has a Cyclone. He still has a medevac. He still has a tank. all of these are things which TY doesn't currently own at all. So TY is a little bit behind when it comes to that. So army behind for TY, economy even. Definitely gives Clem a bit of an opportunity. So if Clem can get a push off, where, you know, across the map, on this very short map, it should be easy to push on. If Clem can succeed in that, there's some big possibilities here. Cyclone comes through, picks off the Marine, and Clem is going to head on up to the top left-hand side of the map. And like I say, definitely feels like aggressive opportunities in this moment are going to be there. He gets a lock onto the... I thought he was looking for the lock onto the Raven. He found a Marine instead. Obviously just one tank quite far back here initially from Clem. His own Raven was built, so it's going to be on the way. There's something in the main base of Clem. I think that's a Liberator. No, it's the Reaper. Goes into the main base. Gets surrounded, so SCVs have to be pulled, but deals with it pretty well, right? As Clem forces the tanks a bit further back, he gains a little bit more position out the front right now. And with the Liberator Viking of his own, he's looking okay. Sorry, I'm getting confused a little bit on production because Clem's on the bottom side of the map, but the production is on the top side of the screen. Usually I'd always switch those around if that happens, so it messes me up a little bit in the mirror matchups, so I apologize for that. This Liberator has to... well, these Marines have to get rid of this Liberator, right? Otherwise this Liberator is going to do serious damage. It is going to go down. The Liberator was definitely going to be a problem. At least now Vikings are here, so TY can fight against it, but Clem's going to get the better fight. He's going to put this down to 2-1 Vikings for a moment or two. That's actually a huge little win for Clem, who's still in range of this command center. TY, not quite able to do much about this just yet. I mean, he's not dying, but of course Clem's starting to take a third CC, moving that out into position as he sits outside of TY's natural expansion. And these Vikings are just sat here and providing the vision necessary to keep on firing away at this orbital command. This orbital command taking quite a bit of damage at the moment. Just going to be seeing the tanks continue to fight. Continue to fire. Couple of interference matrix going to go down these tanks as well. So they're going to get caught up a little bit more fire going down. Vikings are going to move out once again to the front to try and chase that medevac and Viking force back. And TY is going to be able to push Clem away from this. So Clem gets pushed back a little bit. Still has advantages, right? Still mining from a third CC where TY is not. And TY is still just trying to push his way out of this in a moment or two. It's a Viking, going to be able to get a Raven. And in the end, is going to be able to be pushed through here. As Clem tries to fight for the fight for the Viking kills. He's going to save a low HP Viking as well in that medevac, pulling it back. The micro definitely showing actually from Clem. Memes aside, I know he's level 5 micro or whatever, but like he actually has had some pretty sick micro in this series so far. Just going to be seeing still these units from Clem out in the center. Viking Marine joining up. We do have the refinery coming down over to the side there. So just going to get that third base mine set up to mine properly. Yeah, we actually get the game to settle down a little bit. Clem still maintains that little bit of a worker lead, right? And just gas already mining a little bit faster on the third base. These are all things that definitely will help Clem in a little bit. Right now, his army supply is not really there. But given a little bit of time, he's going to start taking those leads and he'll get production up a bit faster, etc. And advantages will start to arise. You know, he's likely to maybe afford a fourth CC a little bit sooner than what TY is able to afford it, right? And TY, a little bit of an army supply advantage, something you can go across the map with. I wouldn't really say so. Again, it is a small map though, so the moment you move out, Clem's got to be aware of that, because if TY moves out and Clem doesn't know about it for like 10 seconds, TY is basically going to be on top of one of his bases, and that's why you have to be extremely cautious here in TvT, and especially on a map like Submarine. That's why you actually don't see it a lot. It still gets vetoed in mirrored matchups a fair amount, because the size of the map makes it a very volatile map. It's very easy to be caught out of position. But Clem apparently just loves chaos, and he picked this map when it was his map choice. Because I like that TY has a sensor tower up. I think that's a good idea. I'd be very surprised if Clem didn't commit into a sensor tower at some point in the fairly near future as well. Unless Clem just truly believes he can have the map control, that he doesn't need to build it, right? Not sure what that stim was. I feel like that was meant to be one Marine stimmed. to kind of go and scout, and he accidentally stimmed like everything. I think he was meant to stim like a few Marines over to like help hold some map control and stuff, but then he stimmed his whole army, so that was definitely a mistake. TY kind of puts a little bit of a point to stim on his army there as well for 1 or 2 final Marines. You know, one of Clem's biggest issues, where we used to talk about a lot back in the day, was that he was always very he overstimmed a lot. Like, he used to stim his army all over, like, because he wanted to be in so many places at once. He used to stim to move around, and he used to have his army like always on like orange HP. And it used to be one of his real weaknesses, but obviously Clem improved a lot as a player since then, and it definitely hasn't been as much of an issue the last year or so when we've really seen Clem rise to the top high ranks. Vikings come through, and it's going to be Clem advantage, and TY doesn't realize it, so he's going to lose a couple Vikings off the start. Going to put Clem even further into the air supply lead. He's actually going to start a Liberator too, so he's recognizing he's got that air advantage, and that's something he can work with. And you can see, again, I mentioned that 4th base being a bit sooner for Clem. That's absolutely the case. It's already in position, so able to mine much sooner. Now, these Liberators being a little annoying and slowing down some of Clem's economy, and Clem needs to make sure he doesn't let TY get into position here. Like I say, you lose track of this army for a few moments, and everything can go very wrong very quickly. If he can get up to Libs right now, I think he's in a really, really good position, because he really just does have the air control to be able to push back tank lines. So Clem kind of in control of the game now. I love what TY is doing, splitting the army up a little bit. Going to make life that much more difficult for Clem to deal with, making sure Clem can't just focus in one place. And that's how TY is going to try and claw back a little bit of this advantage in the game. As Clem is also realizing now that this is happening, Sensor Tower's coming up. And like I say, I think that's really going to be an essential kind of addition here to make sure that you can just control these armies at TY. Don't lose track of them. Make sure you know what's coming your way all of the time, and so you can respond appropriately. Was that the Liberator that went down there? I think it might have been, which was a real shame, because that's your way to take advantage of the air control. The Vikings are going to land. We're just going to try and overwhelm this position. Takes down the tanks and Clem. Okay, this is where the small size of the map is going to hurt TY a little bit, because all of a sudden Clem wins one fight, and he's just across the map and in position to fight already. And TY's army is now out of position on the left side, so all of his tanks that remain are on the left side. Clem's going to slow push his tanks forward. He can probably just fight into this. He's got a massive HP advantage on the Marines, because the medevacs weren't here either on this right side fight. And Clem now has tanks in position as well. He's going to get rid of one tank at TY, and he's on top of this orbital command. A beautiful move from Clem as he strikes through the heart of TY's army and all the way to the heart of his base. That 3rd CC is essential for TY. If he doesn't have a 3rd base, his economy is going to flop. Now, TY is realizing that maybe a counterattack is on the board here, as Clem has a lot of units positioned to the top side. Some tanks just middle of the map are extremely risky, but they are going to somehow work. I don't think Clem really wants to be in a base trade here, though. Like, the one thing that can go really badly wrong for Clem is a base trade, because he doesn't actually have, like, any defenses at home. Like, TY has a few tanks and so on that can maybe slow this down a bit. Oh, Clem wasn't set up to base trade. He's taking big damage from the tank on the high ground. He's going to lose the 3rd CC. He's obviously killing his opponent's 3rd CC as well, but there's still tanks from his opponent. Clem has already lost a lot. Now, what he really needs to do is to try and stop this from dropping into the main base. He needs to fight this immediately, but he doesn't get the chance to. This tank is going to siege up. He's got a couple of tanks towards the main base now. He's going to derp forward a little bit here, but he does have a huge tank count. That is going to be Clem's advantage that remains. That his tank count is going to be very difficult for TY to break at any point. Clem's going to start fighting in the main base, pushing those Marines back. He still has these tanks dominating this area, but of course, if TY can drop on top of those tanks, then maybe they just get kind of annihilated, and you know, none of this really matters. There's no anti-air left here anymore, so it looks like Clem might give it up. But the problem is, by giving up this position, these tanks are walking home, and TY is already bringing his Marines back to the middle of the map. Surely they are meant to go siege tank hunting, and they are going to find the middle of the map. Tanks are going to get caught. I mean, this was just TY knowing exactly what to do, because he knew those tanks were going to come on home. Clem's going to clean up in the main base, but that tank count loss is probably going to cost him the game. Clem, I don't understand why Clem felt the need to commit more units to that position, because I feel like those tanks moving across the map to aid that top side was so unnecessary. He already had such an advantage on that location. By just taking his tanks across, he completely just negated the possibility of there being, you know, a counterattack or an attempted base trade from TY. He wasn't in a good place to base trade. And even at the end here, obviously, like I say, those tanks trying to make it home, it was very obvious what Clem was doing, and TY was on top of it. He took his Marines out of Clem's main base in plenty of time to go and take advantage of that. And TY now, a little bit of an army supply lead as he pushes forwards. And he's going to push up this ramp. There is a single tank there. Clem will defend with whatever he can find. Actually get some free shots off, but TY might actually be... He just lifted up something. I'm not sure if he's going to try and drop in the main. He's going to give it a go. Yeah, control here going to provide a little bit of vision. That starport has to give up its reactor, so Clem's now going to lose the ability to build the air units. He does have +3 attack much sooner than TY has any 3-3 upgrades. TY will take the lead when his 3-3 finishes because Clem's armor was late, but maybe Clem can make something happen with the Marine upgrade lead. TY is the one making Liberators now. I'm not sure if he really... how much of an air advantage he really holds, though. It feels like Clem just cleaned out a little bit of that. Don't tell me these... Oh my god. 5 Marines go forward and they actually are able to kill off a siege tank. That's such a huge deal, right? I mean... That's like 5 Marines given up for a tank. That's always going to be good. Anything you can do to break down the defense of Clem, who has no vision on this left-hand side, so this drop up into the main base is going to maintain being an issue. I don't think there's any good way for Clem to deal with that, right? Like, you can't just forever leave units on the bottom side blindly. And the lack of map control is now costing him a lot. This army moved in, it picked off a couple of tanks, and it's now going to end up backing away again. Tanks in a siege, and Clem is going to move out to push these Marines back. I mean, he can get a bit of a chase going there, but... yeah, he's still playing down about 20-30 supply in army. He's actually up 10 workers. So 4 bases each. If Clem can sort of defend, I mean, he's got to... This is the problem. Clem's got to play a much more defensive game right now. That's not the kind of game that Clem likes to play. Clem typically likes to be aggressive. He likes to be attacking on the map. He likes to have all that map control. So Clem is being forced into the... You know, if these roles were the other way around, I'd be a lot more positive about the position of Clem. Because if it was TY defending... and this isn't kind of playing into the meme, but if TY is kind of defending and playing the positional defense, that I'm a much bigger believer in than the, you know, defensive Clem here, because TY is just so good at those kind of games. Now, let's see if Clem can pull it off. He still holds a worker lead if he can survive. The Liberators are going to be a major issue. He's going to stem forward here. There's actually only 2 tanks sieged in the front lines, and the Marines from TY respond very late, so it's a good start to the fight from Clem, who gets a couple Vikings as well. And that helps offset the air control to maybe allow you to keep TY from putting Liberators in position and taking advantage of them. I'm just going to be seeing the rest of this army still moving around on the right side. The Vikings, tanks on the way up. These Libs and the Vikings still set up overhead right now, as well as supplies have evened out. And to remember that Clem is mining more. What might be a bigger issue is taking a 5th base, but Clem's going to retake his original 3rd base. Oh, look at that, just gets rid of a Liberator. Yeah, the air control of Clem helping a lot, but yeah, no map vision down the bottom side, and TY is realizing that's been a problem for Clem for a little while now. So he's going to drop into the main base. Clem seems to know that something's happening. He is stemming Marines in. He's actually got a lot of army back here, so he had a better idea about this than I was giving him credit for. It's not a pretty position. He's also... Okay, upgrades are actually even. Okay, it's actually not going to be that bad. Clem is going to push this back, and TY's drop into the main is not going to work out. Huge defense from Clem. Beautiful that he was able to figure that out. Now, there are some Marines stimming at his 3rd base. I don't think that's savable, so it's going to be an orbital that Clem is going to lose out on. That's obviously less mules and less scans. Scans specifically at this stage of the game are kind of a hot commodity, right? You kind of need them to know where your opponent's army is, to check what you're fighting into all of the time. So losing out on an orbital is a big deal. In a close game like this, where you can't quite afford to just replace command centers, that's an expensive loss for sure. Credit to Clem. I feel like he played a very difficult position here in a situation he's not usually favored in, and he really made it work. Now, this was a bit of a mistake. He was a little bit too scared of this army. He was actually in a better position to fight this than he realized, and it loses him his Vikings because of it. So he loses a bit of air control. Oh, through the middle of the map, though. TY's going to strike. Clem's got tanks in the middle of the map as well. They're going to get caught. You can see on his facial expression, he's not happy. His tanks are just caught in a complete mix-up of where things are meant to be. And that's what's so crazy about this game. It's chaotic, right? And it's very difficult to keep track of everything and where things are meant to be and so on. We do have a base in the bottom left corner as well, by the way. So that is TY that got to a 5th base, and that does make a difference here. And TY obviously still having all of his orbitals. Clem's bottom side base, remember, is now just an orbital. That is an issue. And it's his second orbital, right, too. So if he loses that, he's in some serious issue. In fact, he lost the third orbital. I think that might be Clem's only orbital command that remains in this game, by the way. It's actually kind of crazy, as these Marines are going to move into this base. They don't have a lot of HP. That one SCV moving forward gave TY a little bit of a heads up. He's going to try and drop the main again. I mean, you can see that Clem doesn't have the vision to really kind of pick up on this ahead of time. So this time there should be a little bit more of a problem as he moves forward. Again, a little bit messy. Those tanks maybe didn't need a siege. They could have just A-moved in. Clem's now going to have Marines in his main base that he needs to deal with. So Clem's production is just taking hits. I'd love to see the units tab right now. You can see in production that Clem is only building a few Marines at a time in comparison to TY. And this might be a good cleanup from Clem, but it kind of needs to be given the rest of the setup that he's in. He started a new command center, he's starting new barracks, and I think that's a necessity because while TY's behind in economy and only equal on army, I don't think he's necessarily like the biggest difference. I think is just production, that TY can build so much more, so he can be a bit more reckless with these units. There's not going to be quite the gap needed here to make a difference, as we're going to be seeing Clem having to pull those Vikings back. 22 minutes of back and forth action here. TY and Clem has turned out to be a rather excellent game, hasn't it? This game number 2, that Clem was absolutely in a lead in. TY turned it around. Clem has brought it back to being kind of level. I'll tell you what the issue is now for Clem, is that TY's army supply is just massive. 142. Drop back into the main again, by the way. This just doesn't stop. Clem only has a couple tanks back over here to help him defend. Some of his new barracks over here going to be in some trouble. Marines dropping in the main base. I'm not even sure how much Clem really necessarily needs to defend the main. Obviously, there's still production here. You still want to defend it, but this is not as much of an issue as it was before. This fight's going to break out. Clem is going to start pushing this back. Can he get a kill on the medevac? He can. Kills like that are huge, as TY is going to unload into Clem's low ground base, which is now acting as the 5th command center. Clem's going to clean this up again, though. I mean, again, these attacks are expensive from TY. Clem does not have any siege tanks over here as more Marines show up. Again, TY just has so many Marines in comparison to Clem's tank count, which is a little bit higher. But if Clem's tanks are never sieged, then that advantage never comes through. Clem's going to win this fight, though. Vikings in the sky winning out over the medevacs. He has a new CC bottom side, and he's also got a command center top right that's building. I feel like Clem's actually stabilizing towards a much better setup than he's been in for a while, if he can survive another minute or so. And these production structures and these, bases can actually get up and online. This planetary goes down just before it's finished morphing. Well, I mean, good that it went before it finished morphing, right? Because then you get some money back. Clem kind of wants this base. You can see TY is also struggling for money now, though, right? These bases on the top have been mined for a while, and TY is going to float an orbital to the top 12 o'clock position. That's actually a target for Clem, because a few Marines there can do a lot of work without even really much need for tanks or anything to push in. So that's definitely a target, as TY's economy definitely something to look at here. Clem gonna move in. There's only one tank on the right-hand side. The Marines of TY are such low HP. He's been losing medevacs like crazy this game with the attempted drops. He does find the way into Clem's base here. This orbital command needs to survive realistically. Clem kind of needs to mine from this base. As he loses this, he'll lose the base he's building near it as well. Clem has an army supply lead. He needs to turn this into some damage because TY is using his army brilliantly while Clem's army is just sat AFK in the bottom left corner. Yes, it's putting on pressure to a location. He needs to actually push on through and find something with this. Of course, a lot of this as well is the fact that Clem has the Viking count, which, don't get me wrong, the Viking count is fantastic. To have air control is a good thing to be in control of, but having air control is going to cost him a Marine count as well. And that's definitely a problem, as TY is going to find these Vikings kind of just sat there. Clem was paying some attention, at least pulls that back. Struggling on the bottom side. What Clem really needs to do is deny the top side 12 o'clock base. Because I think it's okay the way that things have been mining so far, but if that topside base gets to mine, that's a big issue. Clem gets his tank siege a little bit late in this fight. He's going to end up surrounding this Marine force, and he is going to get the medevac that tries to lift up and leave. TY's supply is deteriorating here. I think Clem, can he pick up on that? Can he realize that that's the case? Because now, if he can realize that he's got such a huge army lead, now would be the time to strike before TY gets a chance to get back into this. Marines trying to move forward. The tank fires. Keeps those Marines back for a moment. And we're going across the map here. I think Clem has a pretty good shot of denying this top side of the map. He's actually going to find, I mean, this is just a fight he's going to commit into, right? No doubt about it. 2 tanks alone are not going to hold this off. And TY was just not efficient enough with these fights. Like, he really tried to break through Clem, but it was reckless gameplay. You know, he really tried to just attack, 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 and while it looked like he was getting good positions all of the time, he was trading not the best. You know, and it's 40,000 resources lost each. It's actually closer than I thought. But TY never really mined from the additional base as much as Clem did, I suppose. And then towards the very end, that's just what's going to win Clem out. The fact he's had 10 more workers this entire time, he's just been able to mine out that 5th base a little bit faster than TY was ever able to. And that's why he's just got that little bit more right now. And that's why it's important for Clem to do something about this right now as well, and to make sure he ends the game. Because that topside base is mined, so if he doesn't get rid of that, TY can start to rebuild a bit of army here. Clem's going to stim in. He wants to go for the throat. Of course, all of TY's economy, or production, sorry, is still in the main base. TY never had to rebuild anywhere else on the map, so if Clem can break the main, he can break the production lines, and TY is not prepared to deal with that in any way. Clem is going to have tanks here that are going to have to defend themselves against this Medivacs dropping in. He's going to bring a few Marines back as well, Clem. 109 army supply to the 49 of TY. Clem must have so much back at home. Oh, Clem's going out over this side. He's not going to... Oh, wow. He's going to realize this base is over here. That's actually probably best news possible for Clem, because now he knows this is here. These Medivacs flying through turrets. Clem's losing a lot. I'm not sure why he unloaded those Marines. He must have truly believed he was going to get cut off and lose a good chunk of that army. That obviously didn't actually happen. Clem is pushing around the bottom left corner, looking as though he's going to make a play onto this bottom left base in a few moments' time. Tanks are going to get sieged up. SCVs are going to start falling. I mean, this is going to be a nice base denial, but of course, there's the top side base as well, and Clem needs to make sure he doesn't just lose himself, as TY's army supply is bouncing back. Like I said, I mean, a couple bad fights from Clem, and TY's been able to keep mining the top side this entire time. That's absolutely huge. You're going to be seeing Clem has to pull away to go deal with this force in the center. He still has the army supply lead. He's going to stim into this fight. There's only really one tank in range for TY. The other one's quite far back, so Clem can chase into that. One tank firing isn't much of an issue, but Clem has no tank support of his own. There's only a 20 army supply difference between the two of them now. These tanks on siege, they've denied a base. Clem scans the top side. He realizes that has to be his next target, taking down that base. Of course, at the same time, he needs to defend the bottom left side of the map. He can't really let his own mining base go down if he's unsuccessful in killing the upper right. And this game is on edge once again as tanks get sieged up. Marines are going to try and push their way through. The tanks from Clem siege very late, but they do get sieged in the end. Does he want to push on through? He's got tank fire to actually take down the tanks of TY. At least one of them will fall. That's going to weaken TY's position over here. The army supply is 75 to 63. Still favoring Clem. He's got a unit up in the top right, killing off SCVs. I don't know what it is, but something is killing those workers of TY. Shutting down this economy just a little bit further. Liberator is set up, and that's something which Clem doesn't really have an answer to anymore. Yeah, it's this Liberator over here, but it was only in range of half the mineral line. He's going to start getting rid of some of TY's final bits of eco. As Clem secures this base. I mean, that's got to, that's the one thing he's really aiming for, actually keeping this base up and running. This Liberator playing around the two missile turrets that are there defensively. TY cannot spare units to go and clean up that Liberator. That's how crazy this is right now. TY is going to force Clem to fight. Clem gets rid of the libs. That means he can hold the tank line, and that's what he really needs to do. In a position where TY can barely afford a new Liberator, that's going to be a massive pickoff. It's worth the Marine commitment in the position that we're in. As down the bottom side, we've got Marines and tanks of TY setting up once again. Clem relocates to try and deal with. There's a few tank shots going off. Clem should have the advantage here. He stims on in. He's going to take the tanks down. TY wants to push up the ramp. No, he doesn't. Backs away once again. He's going to give it up. It's not enough from TY. And Clem is going to win in just under 30 minutes. And that's going to be 2-2 between Liquid and Afrika Freaks going into the next two maps of PvP with Trap versus Hearthstone.